who's our advertising and marketing specialist. Dr. Jim, I'd love to ask you the question, what do you see as the biggest challenge in mental health that businesses are facing today?
I think what I'm seeing over the last 5 years, I think as we've gone from COVID to post-COVID to living these times of increased expenses, costs, the whole thing. And I think it's so pertinent what Emma said today is we've got to just give people the space and time and just listen. It's so easy to judge, it's so easy to, and I know when we're hurting, we hurt back, or we want to gnaw back, or we want to be territorial back. I understand that we can do that, but we just got to take a breath. You always hear Susie say that, take a breath, be in the presence of somebody and just listen, man. I know it's hard to do sometimes, but listen, or walk away, come back and then reconnect. Give yourself some fresh air.
Thank you, Dr. Jim. And one note, you may not know how Dr. Jim can actually help you until you need to be helped. And you're a very powerful man, so I'm very grateful to listen to you today. Daniel, I'll ask you the same question. Well, how do you find in your industry, what do you think the biggest challenge is?
Before I answer, contrary to how it looks, we didn't actually coordinate our colours. Every client is the same as across every industry. The usual things, cash flow, all the usual stuff. But I think the major contributing factor is nobody actually understands what they're working towards, or what their North Star is, or what their end game is. They just do things. And I think that adds to stress because they end up trading about from a transactional point of view, and that causes stresses with, money becomes an issue, clients become an issue, as opposed to really understanding where you're going in mind, and everything will fall into place. And the stress levels go down by default because you're working from a purpose perspective as opposed to a transactional perspective. So that's the biggest thing. Once we actually understand what that roadmap is based on that, everything becomes much clearer, which means they're in a more clarified headspace to be able to move forward. So yeah, absolutely.
Look at Carlos, he's got your time.
Right.
Over to you. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, so today we're honouring World Mental Health Day, which was yesterday. We're honouring the community. I'm honouring BNI. I'm going to try to go through the slides quickly, and then if we have time to go next. It's no secret, I've been working very closely with Daniel now for several months, and the most incredible thing I'm experiencing is that we've had all these kind of subliminal, all these kind of like previous experiences with people that we were connecting together, people that we know each other. So we went through a rebrand. You can probably see up there, it's IJAM. I'm Just a Man. Also, IJAM is a music component. We both love music. Where's Susie? There you are. If people can take photos, please, that would be fantastic. If you can take your cameras out. If you don't know that, I played a band in Susie. I spoke to Michael the other day. Susie's husband, my apologies. See, there you go. I'm getting all nervous already. But yeah, I spoke to him, asked him, and we're going to do a jam, me, Daniel, Craig, and her husband. So I'm looking forward to doing some really cool stuff. All right. Unmasking men's mental health. Now, there was a journey I started 11 years ago being in BNI. People know the story. My business burned down 10 years ago in November. And an event was created called I'm Just a Man. That was all born out of Chris Cornell passing away, Chester Bennington. I love these bands. And then because I found music as an outlet, I felt it's important to do something with it. And that's I'm Just a Man is a song by Excess. It's not me going, I'm a man, mate. That's not me at all. And then from that, it became a charity during COVID. It became an actual charity in COVID. It was an event, became a charity, and then we've entered a new phase since where three things came together for me. It was a thing that I got for my 50th. It was a card with water on it. It was my sister telling me about, you got to do something with blue, you got to do something with blue. I'm like, what are you on about, Maria? That's my sister. And then Daniel making a suggestion towards Blue Zone, and then my head just exploded with it. Okay, so what is mental health? It's honouring yourself. We've heard already today, I don't need to repeat it. It's being present. For me, I'm in the presence of my Creator. And that could be anything you want it to be for you. That's what allowed me not to be alone. If I didn't have it, I think I was going to be in big trouble. And I think one thing that's important for me is that we hold that kind of space. I'm sure, don't put your hand up. Are there people in this room that have had some probably deep conversations around mental health and life and well-being? You don't have to put your hand up if you don't want to. I'm just saying that I do that, yeah? And I love doing that. I want to continue to do that. To me, BNI is my community and I love it. Alright, so we know there's some challenges, yeah? We know these things exist, there's anxiety issues, we know that people have depression. The biggest thing I got into was because of suicide, is because obviously got into my head almost 10 years ago. Just like that, I didn't even know it happened. And I didn't realise till 2.5 years later after it happened. So I was really surprised by that. And then when I started to look into it, what I ended up experiencing, what you said, Mr. Ladley, I had an identity crush that day, and my finances were effed. I was effed. And so I had the pressure, what does it mean? You're not a provider, you can't look after mum, you're not going to ever be a father in the middle of IVF. All that just hit like that. And even faster than that. And that's when the terrible thoughts kicked in. So it's important to make a difference, to check in on each other. And this is not about being men, it is both of us. Men and women, humans, side by side. Okay, so it's important to have connection. Reach out to people like Emma. Come and reach out to me for the kinesiology stuff. Give yourself time out. So this is where we're starting to open up in towards the blue zones, how powerful that is. For me, music, I love music. I've had the most incredible experience. It's the music that gave me the opportunity to IJAM, not the event. Because the event, finding music, seeing people, the rock stars passing away, maybe let's make a difference. And members, you can check in on each other. We're here for each other, yeah? I know that we're here for business, but it happens that we're going to do other things as well. Alright. What's important with that? Listen, we've gone through it. When you listen to each other, you begin to trust, having empathy, kindness. You've heard this stuff before. And the most important thing is you can trust each other. That's the most important thing that comes with that. Alright. We're going into a new phase. So, with I'm Just a Man, it's very focused on supporting Beyond Blue, November Are You Okay? Very relevant to all of us. And that's the checking in, being aware of the stats, being aware of suicide, making sure your children are okay, making sure your colleagues are okay, making sure that your family and friends are okay. We still acknowledge that people go through pain and suffering. That's still important. Because as part of the next phase, that stage, we want to show something big. I see something even bigger that I've never seen before. Let's introduce you to Daniel and the Blue Zones.
Alright, so Blue Zones. When I started speaking to Jim about, or when he approached me about this, the whole I'm Just a Man thing and going to the last event, it became apparent that he had a vision about what he wanted to do. And he was just doing some things around mental health, about men's health, because he'd gone through some stuff, I'd gone through some stuff, and it was just like, okay, well, let's do something. But what became apparent through the conversation about what are we doing with the brand? Where do we want to take this thing? What's the actual story of the North Star? We went through numerous hours of conversations, and for me, it was about understanding the core of what we wanted to do here. So the Blue Zone idea came from the fact that IJAM, I'm Just a Man, is not about just bringing awareness to men's mental health or contributing to different causes, but it's about changing the way people live. Okay? How we live determines where we are now, where we're actually going, and what are we actually contributing to the next generation of people, positively or negatively. The whole Blue Zone thing was something that I learned years ago, and it's literally, it's 5 different areas in the world. One's in Japan, Okinawa, one in Sardinia, in Icaria, Loma Linda in California, and the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, where the happiness levels are through the roof. The average, there are more centenarians in those areas than anywhere in the world. They, from a community point of view, they just live to serve each other. They live off the land, they have great diets. They're not, they don't live in the past, they live very present, but they have a way of living which is innate. It's not something that they learn, it's not something that they read, it's part of who they are, it's multi-generational. So diabetes, mental health, it's almost non-existent. And this population of people is only part of, it's a 0, point whatever it is, percentage of the world's population. So what are they doing right? So, statistics, suicide rates are much, much lower than any part of the world. More people live to 100 years and over than anywhere else. The average person lives to about 89 or 90. Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, near zero. Happiness and fulfillment levels are higher than any other parts of the world across the whole age group. So from kids all the way through to seniors, and it's a family first, honour your elders and laugh together type of mentality. Okay? It's understanding mind, body, and soul. So it's become a thing now where people talk about, you've got to live this way, you got to exercise. But in what these guys understand is that being human is just that. That's what it means, nothing else. Okay? So what's the connection between IJAM and the Blue Zone? Well, what we're actually trying to discover is that, yeah, we have to help people that have got mental health challenges, we have to do all the education piece, but I think what we're doing going forward now is prevention. Get people at a stage where, okay, well, learn how to live better. What does it actually mean to be a better person, to take care of yourself better, to take care of your community? And what that actually does, it puts that person in a place where they can take on life's challenges, take on adversities, but deal with it in a way that's healthy, in a community-based environment with strength. Okay, they don't even get to a point where suicide is an issue, or acute depression is a massive issue. Yes, life will be tough, most of it is, but they can deal with it a lot better. And that's the prevention that IJAM is now looking forward to, changing people. And we're starting with kids, educate young men, because they are going to be the future. So how do we teach people to live better so they can actually drive change across a generational thing, as opposed to a cure? Too many cures. We want prevention, okay? Self-care and movement as a lifestyle, mind, body and soul. Make exercise, make good diet part of your life. It's not hard. I'm not saying don't have a drink or whatever. Just be mindful of what you're doing. That's the secret. Emotional intelligence and spirit, probably the two biggest ones, because they're the things that come from you. They're the things that you talk to yourself about. Like I said last week, you can't lie to yourself. They're the things that actually drive change. How do you deal with yourself? So that's how it's connected to IJAM. Now, from a brand perspective, what does it mean now? Well, it means that we actually have got a purpose. We've got a story. We've got a reason to exist, as opposed to, there's an idea. We just want to raise some money and treat mental health. Now we actually have a reason to exist. And that's what a brand is. It's not a logo, it's not a website, none of that stuff. It's a brand is something that people will connect to emotionally because there is a value and a purpose to it. Nothing else. Okay? So everything is predicated on that. So our mission, or IJAM's mission, is to educate people on how to be better humans, using the blue zones as the catalyst of that education, because they just do it well, and it's something that's been taught multi-generationally. They don't even try. So if we can get 2% of the people to actually listen to us and investigate what we're trying to do, they may learn one thing that will change the trajectory of their whole life.
Last week, if I can quickly say, I had an interview with a guy that does blue zones who was in Icaria and in Sardinia. And these are the places in the world. So of the 5 blue zones, you've got one in Japan. Japan's very highly known for high suicide rates. In Okinawa, it still has suicide rates, but lower than the mainland, right? However, when you look at Greece and Italy, for example, those 2 countries, they sit very low on suicide rates. So that was where my head flipped with it, and I went, hang on, they're the lowest suicide rates in the world. You also have places like the Caribbean, which I've been to, also have low suicide rates. However, they don't have the longevity stuff happening there. So here you've got people living longer and they're happier, for real. We're not doing some kind of research study, it's just happening. So it was like, oh my God, that's where the future's got to be. We still do the whole importance of raising awareness, but you've got to just shift the way people are. More movement, connection to the spirit, creator. And one of the biggest things is, 1 second ago, respecting intergenerationally, man, each other. From the eldest to the youngest, going up and down the spectrum. You do that, it's in the room here too, by the way. This exists in the room. If we do that, we will shift. Businesses, everything will become bigger and better.
Okay, so just lastly, I know we're out of time, but the I'm Just a Man event, the Mediterranean event, it's actually a celebration of life. It's a celebration of the end result. So it's a party thing. It's not, we're not going to hear from people talking about it there, but it's about what life can actually be. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a really good night. We're putting a ton of effort into it, and it'll be great to see everybody there. That's the QR code. Everything's there, and I thank Jim for getting me involved in this. It's
Of
very,
course.
very grateful. So
Please buy a ticket. I'm going to be hounding you all now. Thanks.